Okay, let's get going. So good afternoon, everybody. Warm welcome to all of you, as always. As I said just now, I'm delighted when people actually join us. It's been a horrible, gloomy day today, so I do hope this is a bright spot in your day, a day to see a few more human beings that there are out in the world, and friendly ones at that, which is the most important thing. Let me just set the scene a little bit for what we're doing here. Lindsay and I've worked together for the last 4 years or so, and we have had conversations on and off over quite a long period of time as to running some kind of exercise sessions that we could invite people to join. And for various reasons, we haven't actually managed to do that, but this seems like an ideal opportunity. So we were going to start literally, week one with an exercise class as such. And then we got talking about it, and I said, you know what, I think I'd like to do something a step back from that. And what I'd like to do is to talk a little bit about exercise in general terms, certainly exercise in relationship to my experience, and also set the scene for what we would like to achieve when we run these sessions, which we intend to do over the next 8 weeks or so. And that's the idea of this. So, I'm not sitting here, well, I actually do have lycra on my lower half, but I'm not ready to leap up and start jumping about. I'm actually, the intention of this is to have a discussion, but it is also the intention for you to tell us via the chat function what you would like to get out of the next 8 weeks or so if you join in the sessions that we're going to do. So some of the ideas that you've got, we will listen and take that very seriously. If at any point, Lindsay or I say anything that you would like to clarify or ask questions about, again, put it into the chat function. Bryony will pick that up and we'll have a question and answer session at the end. So I hope that sets the scene reasonably well for you. I am going to talk a bit more generally about my experience of exercise, but I would like to introduce Lindsay to you now. She is a personal trainer. I met her by chance in a business meeting, and I was saying, oh God, you know what, I'd really like to find a personal trainer who specialises in older women like me who have zero fitness. And she said, well, that's exactly what I do. So over to you, Lindsay. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you so much for having me to join you as well, Tricia. It's such a pleasure to be here and to see so many of you on the call today. It's really, really uplifting that you want to come and hear about fitness and wellness. So thank you for joining us. Yeah, my name is Lindsay Burrows. I'm in a company called MeSpot, which is dedicated to helping women like you guys to feel better about themselves. I didn't always do that. I've run the business for 9 years, but prior to that, I was in the corporate world in fashion buying. And I made the decision 9 or 10 years ago to jump out of that and to really follow my passion. And my passion is all about helping women. There's the most amazing women out there. We're all individual, we've all got to offer, we're all phenomenal in our own right, and yet what I found was so often that women don't believe that of themselves, so they'll often look at other women. I see this so regularly when I talk to my group of ladies. They'll look at other women and say, wow, she's amazing at that, and completely underestimate the kind of things that they're good at. And I'll have the very same woman say to me, wow, she's amazing at that. And neither of them actually realise what the other one's saying. And there's a really key point in there about really trying to focus on what we're good at and valuing what we're good at. So my role really is to help women believe that they're the most amazing women and to support them in being the best that they can be. And that support comes through exercise. It's a tool for helping you feel better about yourself. It comes through mindset, and other things as well, group activities and so on. So that's really our raison d'etre, if you like. It's bottom line, helping women to feel good about themselves.
Thank you very much, Lindsay. I think that's great from your point of view, sets the scene beautifully. I would stress that what we want to do is something that is safe, that is effective and gives you lots and lots of hints and tips, and will build for you, because they'll be on video, a program that you can use going forward. And who knows, from time to time we might revisit it with updates and all kinds of things. I mean, there's lots and lots of ways that we can extend it beyond the 8 weeks. I've got a little quote for you, and it's a very relevant quote. This is an article that I came across, and it's about sort of elixirs of aging, you know, the holy grail of living long, fit, healthy lives. And it went into all sorts of things. In fact, I wrote a blog post about it. Things like having blood transfusions and looking at the molecular level at DNA and goodness knows what, you know, the real almost Frankenstein stuff that science might be looking at. And of course, there is no elixir of life at all. It doesn't exist, although there are some quite interesting developments which may happen, maybe not in our lifetime. But anyway, this was the real crux of it for me, and I'm going to read it out. So it's the true elixir of life. With so much that is yet to be understood about aging, is there any intervention for which we have good evidence? Yes, but you're not going to like it. The closest treatment we have to an elixir of life, in fact, the closest thing medical science has to a wonder drug, is exercise and healthy eating. If exercise were a pill, said Robert Butler, founder of the US National Institute on Aging, it would be the single most prescribed drug on the planet. From Alzheimer's to heart disease, there is barely an illness that is not in some way improved, mitigated, or prevented through exercise. So I think that's a great framing for what we're going to talk about here. As you know, I'm doing on Wednesdays healthy eating with Leonie. So I hope those of you who saw that and also, you know, watched the video have enjoyed that. She's a great guru on that subject. And now we have another guru on the subject of exercise to help us, which is with Lindsay. So we start with that. Now, I also want to just make some, I don't know what the word is, confession here. I have hated physical activity and all sport my entire life. I was one of those people at school. In fact, my very best friend, who I know is not on this call, she is very disdainful of me, as I was at school, because I was the sort of person who couldn't hit a ball over a net in tennis. I couldn't do anything in the gym at school. I was useless, hopeless, pathetic, and I couldn't swim or anything like that. And above all else, I absolutely hated it with a passion. I saw myself as quite cerebral, you know, and my lovely friend, who I'm still very close to, she saw herself as sporty. She's now a brilliant golfer. So the contrast couldn't be more stark. And that is why, and the reason I'm telling you this is really as a form of reassurance. I am not a fantastically sporty, you know, person that all my life has been doing things to enhance my fitness. In fact, I would go so far as to say that it's, except for a little bit in my 20s and 30s when I did some yoga and some Jane Fonda exercises to, you know, that tape that she created, I have done certainly through my 40s all the way through to the age of 69, absolutely no exercise whatsoever. Now, the reason I came to it was that at the age of 69, I could feel my body begin to creak and groan. I had a low-slung, sporty car, which I was finding it difficult to get out of. And I really could feel that I was drinking in the last chance saloon when it came to getting any form of fitness or exercise. And it was because the serendipity of meeting Lindsay, thank God I did at the point that I did, that I even dabbled with the idea of doing some form of exercise. I was terrified of the gym. In fact, there's no way I would have ever walked through the doors of a gym to ask for help because I felt so inadequate. And the fact that I was going to be able to talk to Lindsay, who would be kind to me, understand me, and also understand my resistance, made all the difference. And she is just brilliant. I can't stress that enough. Now I know that, you know, so I get this said when I write blog posts, oh well, you know, we can't all afford personal trainers, and I absolutely get that. And you know, let's face it, that is one of the reasons why I want to do this with you, because Lindsay is fantastic and a real expert, and I want to share her expertise with you, and it will be free to you. So, you know, that's really important. I want to start by, having said that, I want to start with those kind of barriers and what, you know, discuss them with Lindsay, because you may have these barriers yourself, and I think they're very important to discuss. And then we'll come on to talk about what the benefits of the exercises and the kind of approach that Lindsay's got will be. So let's start off with those barriers. So let's start off with attitude. So Lindsay, what would you say is the key thing, the key barrier in attitude to helping older women to be good at exercise?
So you're talking about the barriers that they have with regard to exercise?
The barriers in attitude, you know, that starting point of their head and how they see it, that whole process.
Well, I think really at the heart of that is probably the legacy, and that legacy obviously comes from school days for a lot of people. So you've just talked about sporty versus academic, etc., etc. So I think a lot of people have had quite bad experiences at school with regard to exercise, and sadly those experiences have stayed with them for life, and so they kind of put themselves in a box, and it's quite hard to come out of that box. So that's the first thing. I think it's the legacy. That's not to say that, you know, we can't challenge that legacy a little bit, and maybe, you know, some of the conversation that we have today will start to do that, but it's very easy to get kind of stuck in that groove and to not really know how to get out of it. So that's probably one of the first things with regard to attitude. I think certainly there are age barriers, and actually it's not just with regard to exercise, it's with regard to lots of different things. So it's quite easy to make the connection between I am a certain age, therefore I can't do whatever. And I think my advice to everybody would be to challenge that, you know, challenge that big time. There are so many examples out there of what women have been able to achieve, yes, in the exercise world, but also beyond, in all sorts of arenas. And so, yeah, if you do find yourself kind of pulling that card, as it were, and saying, oh no, but I'm too old and I haven't done it up until now, so it's too late to get started, I would say it's absolutely not too late to get started. And similarly, if you're used to exercising, but you've only ever done a particular type of exercise, then challenge yourself in that arena as well. Try some different things, give some other things a go, and you'll be amazed by what you discover. So I think often it's what goes on in our head. It's that dialogue that goes around in our head that perhaps prevents us from doing what we want, whatever that is.
What about also physical limitations? I think one of the fears that I had before you and I started working together is that I would just be so pathetically hopeless at everything, because that's how I saw myself. And I had this older body. I knew I was stiffer. I knew my joints were, as I say, creaky. I knew that I couldn't get into those sort of bendy positions that you watch a child and they're amazing. You know, they can sit in all sorts of weird bendy ways. You know, it's like they've got elastic in their joints, and I was really stiff, and I was really quite, one of the barriers in my head was that I just wouldn't be able to do it, basically. The other thing, and just picking up on what you were saying there, I can remember having a conversation with a nurse at my local surgery, and she was doing a questionnaire type thing with me, and she said, how much exercise do you do? And I said, oh, I walk everywhere. You know, I mean, that was it. Oh, I walk everywhere. And she wrote down no exercise. And I was really quite upset. It's like, but I walk everywhere. So she said, I'm sorry, we wouldn't count that as exercise. And I think that I kidded myself a heck of a lot that I was okay because I did my own housework, and I would walk up to the shops maybe 3 or 4 times a week. I live very close to the shops. I could practically see them. So we're not talking about 4 or 5 miles, we're talking about yards, really. So it's that whole thing about, I don't think I'm going to be able to do this because I'm physically, I'm unfit and I'm incapable. What would you say to somebody who feels like that?
Well, I would say start where you're at. and find something that is right for where you're at that particular point in time. And then progress slowly, bite-sized chunks, progress slowly. So whether that's having somebody to help you or whether it's not, listen to your body and start at the place that's right for you, is what I would say.
I just want
I see, I think I said to you the other day that I was reading an article at the weekend where there's so much advice out there, isn't there, much of it conflicting. And there was a lady talking about what was right for older women, and it made me smile, to be honest, because so much of what she'd written, most of my ladies are actually quite fit, but they wouldn't be able to do half of those exercises. So I think it's understanding your body, and there's no excuses around that. It is what it is, and celebrate what it is, but then you can make it better. We can all make it better. It's absolutely never too late to get stronger, to get cardiovascular fitness, etc., etc. It's never too late, as you can testify.
Absolutely. I want to pick up, and I've just seen a comment come up, but we're told walking is the best thing to do. I'm not dissing walking, but I think somebody who does walk fast and they walk briskly and they challenge themselves with walking and they walk a reasonable distance most days, I think that that's fantastic. And that is a really good form of exercise, no question about it, especially if you do it regularly. But I kidded myself with my kind of walking that I was actually getting exercise, and I absolutely wasn't, because A, I dawdled, and B, I didn't go very far. But I had this thing, I walk a lot, which wasn't true at all. And just another thing, practical things like clothes and equipment. I think one of the things that surprised me working with you is how little equipment we actually need, and how I often do just put on a pair of stretchy leggings, and I'll just wear just wear the jumper I've been wearing during the day. You don't have to have special clothes, and you're a great one for improvising. So you'll say, oh, we haven't got stretchy bands because you and I are working on Zoom now, so you just use a scarf for resistance. So it's not a question of having to have a lot of stuff. I do it in my living room. You'll see this next week, and you will see that, as I said, you are brilliant at finding ways to use a chair or the wall or whatever in order to do what we need to do. So I hope we've knocked on the head quite a few of those barriers that you might feel that you have towards exercise. I really hope that we've convinced you that this is something that you might want to participate in, because I now want to come on to the benefits. And I want to say that the reason I wanted to do this was nothing to do with being a sort of a gym bunny. It was what I call functional fitness. In other words, I wanted my body to be helped to stay strong and independent for as long as I possibly can. In other words, I want to be able to I live alone. So I wanted to be able, well into my very old age, if at all possible, if I keep doing these exercises, to live my life independently, because I can move, because I can get up and in and out of chairs, I can get in and out of the bath, I can get in and out of my car, and it's what I call functional fitness. So it's not about running 5K, although that might be an objective, which could be good for you, but it's this whole thing of exercise being something that just makes your body perform better, feel better, and of course look better. The other thing that I wanted, I was getting a dowager's hump. So turn me sideways and I was getting that curved back that is very common as you get older. I also had a very flat bottom. So again, various reasons why that happened. Since I've been working with Lindsay for 4 years, my dowager's hump has all but gone, and I've got a much more rounded bottom because I've got muscle tone in my glutes, I think they're called, a technical term. So just those benefits. Would you like to say a little bit more about benefits of exercise with the other women that you work with, Lindsay?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that some of the physical benefits of exercise are very well documented. So with regard to disease prevention, pretty much all the major diseases can be prevented to a certain extent, or can be improved, let's say. Your likelihood of getting them if you exercise on a regular basis. So that goes for heart disease, strokes, cancer, diabetes, etc. And I'm not talking about 5 or 10% improvement. I'm talking often in the 20s, 30%. I think with diabetes, it's something like a 50% improvement. So really phenomenal differences there. I think the other side that you kind of touched on is the functional side of things. So if you exercise, your body performs differently. It's as simple as that. And if you don't, then it will start to creak, it will start to get stiff, it will start to hurt you, etc. And I think when you feel some of those symptoms, the tendency is to say, well, my knees really hurt me, so I'm not going to do a squat or whatever. And actually, done properly and built up gradually, then a lot of those things that are hurting can actually be put right. And I see that all day, every day, where people come to me in pain, and in 2 months or 3 months, they will feel much more comfortable. So I think rather than shying away from it because something hurts, actually to get in and move, because joints are made to move ultimately, and if they don't move them, then they're going to stiffen up. So lots and lots of physical benefits there, both things that you can see the difference day to day, and also those more invisible things that come through from exercising. You've also got the boost of the immune system. So at the moment, that's really important, clearly. So when you exercise, research has proven that you get that boost of the immune system, which obviously helps prevent various illnesses. So there's something really positive and very topical for now coming through there too. Apart from the physical, you've got the mental side of things. So when the endorphins are released through exercise, you're going to feel better, number one. But I think it's not just that. I think it has, well, my experience of watching women that have taken up exercise is that they start to behave differently. So I see a greater confidence, for example. I see them behaving in other areas of their lives differently to perhaps what they might once have done. So there's massive mental benefits. You just feel better about yourself. And we've said that there's other things that are more important than the aesthetic, and that's absolutely true. But actually, if you look better, then you do feel better. And obviously you see that with makeup and so on. So I think those mental benefits are as important as the physical, actually. And again, at the moment, the situation that we're all in, if we can learn to manage our minds and to access some of those mental benefits, then the better position that we're all going to be in to be able to deal with what we're facing right now. So physical and mental.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%, Lindsay. And a couple of things were occurring to me as you were speaking. One of the things that's improved for me has been my balance. Now, I think balance is a biggie the older you get. And it's one of the things that women in their 80s, 90s are most terrified of, and that's falling over, because falling over is usually the beginning of the end. You break something, it doesn't heal very well, and suddenly you're very much more incapacitated than you were before you fell. And I have twice, since I've been working with you, dived out of a trip where I've tripped on a paving slab, which happens. It's an accident. It's not something you can foresee. And I've caught my foot and gone flying, started to go flying, almost seen the ground rushing up towards me, and I have dived out of it because my core strength has improved so much working with you that I've got the strength now to push myself back up again. And that's happened to me twice, which has been, staggering. This is the functional fitness that I was talking about. This is why I do it and why I want to do it and what it motivates me to continue. And the second thing I just want to say is that what I do now, I work with Lindsay on a Tuesday and a Thursday, and we do concentrated things. She varies the programs a lot. And can I say also loud and clear, I have been really surprised at how well my body's responded from the point of view of feeling good afterwards, but not feeling stiff and sore the next day. And I have never felt stiff and sore the next day after a session with Lindsay, because she's so good at warming up and cooling down, and I have to have a bath afterwards. So she takes great care over that side of things. I was brought up, you know, in that period when I did do a bit of exercise in the 80s with Jane Fonda, that you had to feel the burn. You know, if it wasn't hurting, it wasn't working. You know, no pain, no gain, all that sort of stuff. I have never felt pain with Lindsay as a result of the exercises that we do. And I'm saying that to encourage you, because, you know, if you are a bit stiff, obviously take it at your own pace and rate, and you will find that slowly but surely your body will respond. And that's a really important thing to say. So I work with Lindsay on a Tuesday and Thursday, and then I've got my little pink Opti exercise bike. Now, if you told me 5 years ago that I would almost look forward to a really hard half-an-hour session on an exercise bike, I would have laughed in your face. What that exercise bike does for me, because, you know, weather like this, I'm not going out, it gives me the opportunity to really do something aerobic. I look forward to it. I feel terrific when I've done it, and I try and do that 4 to 5 times a week. And it's the other side of what I do with Lindsay. So I see that as the complementary aspect of the exercise that I would do with Lindsay. So with Lindsay, I see that as a lot to do with balance, to do with stretching, to do with strengthening my body, and to do with toning it. And then my Opti exercise bike is very much the aerobic side of it. And the combination of those has really made a huge difference. Let's talk a little bit. I've written down here success factors. So you know, how are we going to look at that? How do you see this 8 weeks working out?
So what you've just touched on, the different aspects of fitness, and hopefully this is where what we'll do over the next 8 weeks will appeal to those ladies who maybe don't do very much exercise at all at the moment, as well as those ladies that do some. And often when you say I exercise, it tends to be around the aerobic side. So it could be walking, it could be some people cycle, it could be swimming or whatever. But not so often around some of the other things that you just described, like strength and flexibility, balance, etc. So my plan, and I'm interested to see what all of you guys have got to say this afternoon, because I'm very happy to build some things in to work with what you want as well. So it's not just about me prescribing. I can help and support and advise as much as I can, but it's important that this is tailored to you, so all of you feel like you're getting something out of it. But I would plan to cover strength and to show everybody that it's not the scary thing that you might first imagine that it is. It doesn't mean horrible big weights and sweaty gyms and all those other things that it's easy to associate with strength. It doesn't need to be like that at all. So I'd like to look at strength in different areas of the body. People often talk about upper body strength, they talk about their arms. A lot of ladies mention the back of the arms in particular to me. So we'll look at what I consider to be the best and most appropriate exercises to work that area. And I think that's a key thing as well, the best and most appropriate. So I'm thinking about all of you and maybe your past experience in terms of exercise, and also the things that I know about bodies when they get a little bit older. So there's certain exercises that I might do for the back of the arm, for example, that wouldn't involve having your hand right over your head, because some people find that really uncomfortable because their shoulders are tight. So it will be strength, but within the arena that we're dealing with, okay? And I look at different areas of strength as well. I'll look at upper body, lower body, probably some core strength work too. I will do each of these sessions in small bite-sized chunks. So you're not going to get a really long exercise program every single week for lots of reasons. But one of the main ones is that I think consistency is really important, and it's the consistency that's going to get you the results that you want. So small and often, and making sure that things are manageable, I think is going to get you a much better result in a few weeks' time than a really, really long exercise program where you say, you know what, I can't be bothered to do that today, it's going to take me forever. So it will be 4 or 5 key exercises for each of these that we're looking at. And we'll film them with lots of technique instructions. So if you've never done any of these things before, you're going to get lots of hints and tips on how to do them, not just safely, but also to get the most benefit from them when you're doing them. So strength will be one area. We'll look at flexibility as well, because as we age, our joints tend to get stiffer, as you all know. And stretching and flexibility and mobility work can really help to ease some of that out. So I think that would be a really good topic to look at. I will touch on cardiovascular. It's the part of fitness that everybody seems to know about, and everybody's got their favourite, but I will I'll do a little bit on cardio and perhaps give you some ideas for cardio while at home. You know, it's dark at the moment, it's been really wet here today, so if you don't fancy going out on any one particular day, maybe you don't have a bike, like Tricia has a little bike, then I'll give you some things that you can do at home to work heart and lungs. And then you mentioned balance. So I think motor fitness is the broad term for balance and coordination, and that's so important as we get older. So I think that's quite an interesting subject to look at too. Those are my initial thoughts, and then I'm happy to tailor what we do according to what people feed back on. And the other thing that I would say is that because you'll get them in bite-sized chunks each week, you can pick a mix. So if you wanted to run through all of it and make a long workout for yourself, you could do that. Equally, if you've got 10-15 minutes and you say, oh, I'll just do some upper body work today, you can do that too. So it will be very, very flexible. What I will also try and do is I will try and offer alternatives. So there'll be choices for people that perhaps have not covered a particular area before, and there'll be other choices or there'll be progressions for people that have done some of that stuff and want to go a little bit harder.
That sounds fantastic, Lindsay. I'm seeing some questions pop up under here around, so it will be it'll be a recording that will go out every Thursday at about 4 o'clock. So it will be available for you at any time that you want it. And I'm thinking now, maybe in 8 weeks' time, we check in again. So we have another session like this where we all come together, and we will again give you the opportunity to ask questions and so on and so forth. So let's see how this works and how it comes. But I think it would be good to have another live session perhaps and get some feedback from you and so on. So hopefully that's something to look forward to. I am fairly trepidatious about being the person that is going to be responding to what Lindsay is saying, because you're going to see me and you're going to see, you know, a 73-year-old body that hasn't done exercise up until she was 69, and you know, that's an area in my life where I've never felt confident ever, and it's quite I feel quite exposed in that process. But hey, what is there that I can lose from that? Very little, except a bit of dignity perhaps from time to time, and I perfectly have to lose my dignity. So that sounds fantastic, Lindsay, and we're going to come on to questions now. Is there anything else I wanted to say before we went on to questions? I don't think so. Oh, just about my bike. Whenever I mention it, I know quite a lot of you have bought that bike. In fact, they sold out when I talked about it in a blog post. Opti sold out of pink bikes. It was only £80, and it's possibly the best £80 I've ever spent, given that I have used it now. I think I've had it for about 2 or 3 years, and I still use it every week, 3, 4, 5 times sometimes. So it has paid for itself so many times. And think of all the gym fees I've saved. You know, I don't pay gym fees. So these things, you know, you don't have to invest a huge amount. And I would say that that bike is brilliant, because I would never go out into this weather to do any exercise. So I can do it in my sitting room while I'm watching two pointless things in one go. Anyway, let's go to Bryony for some questions that have come up. I think there's quite a lot on the chat function, so as many as you can tell us, Bryony.
There are a lot of questions. A lot of them I've actually put together sort of in sections, like topics that we're actually going to cover over the next 8 weeks. So things that have been coming up a lot: balance, loss of muscle, the rounding of shoulders and the dowager's hump, exercises for osteoporosis, and also lots of people concerned about their core and upper body strength. So those questions I think we can leave because they'll all be covered over the next few weeks. So I've put some questions to the side, which I think we can sort of tackle now, which are more general. So Monica would like to know, how can we deal with loss of muscle as we age?
Shall I say that, Tricia?
Yeah.
So really, it's all about strength. It's about strength work. So if you don't use that particular muscle, that particular area of your body, there will be muscle wastage. And there's some crazy figure, which when you add it up is unbelievable, really. But I think it's from about the age of 30, you lose about 5% of your muscle per decade. So if you add that up cumulatively, that is quite significant. And the only way really to stop that happening is to include strength work in your exercise program. So you're in the right place for that. Obviously, we're not going to see a massive transformation in 8 weeks, but you should see a difference. And the other thing about strength work is that it does actually change the shape of your body in a way that other exercises don't necessarily. So cardio won't necessarily change your shape, but strength work will. So it's a really, I think it's an area that, as I said before, is a lot of people are scared of, but there's a lot to access within that strength arena.
Yeah, I want to reiterate. I think when you read those statistics, like from the age of 30, you've got this, you've got this loss of muscle and everything. But in somebody who exercises, that muscle can be enhanced, even from a low point. It's never too late. I want to get across that message to you as loudly as I can. However you're feeling right now, sitting watching this, even if like me, at the age of 69, you've done nothing, it isn't too late. And it doesn't matter. Any improvement is better. It's an improvement, and that's really, really important. And I have definitely got a lot stronger over the last 4 years, and no question about that. I've just seen I saw a comment. There's something about what's the make of your exercise bike. It's Opti, OPTI. Others I'm sure are available, but I do love mine, and it's pink, and it sits in my sitting room because I actually feel like it needs to be there, telling me every day, get on me, Trish, stop messing around. So I don't hide it away because I feel that I need it to be ever present in my life. But I'm,
I'll just pick up on that point, actually, Tricia. For anybody that has struggled to keep exercise or any other change, whatever it is, to keep it going. And in terms of forming a new habit, one of the most important things in forming that habit is accessibility and convenience. So the more barriers you put between you and whatever it is you want to do, the less likely you are to do it. And I'll give you an example. There was an experiment done by a psychologist, so he knows all the tricks of the trade, and he decided that he would play his guitar. He wanted to get back into guitar, and he would play it every single day for a month. When he got to the end of the month, I think he played about 2 or 3 times, and he thought, why is this? I'm in my lounge, I've got my guitar in my cupboard, why am I not playing it? And what he realized was the very fact that he'd got the guitar in the cupboard was potentially what could make the difference. So for the next month, he got the guitar out of the cupboard and it sat in his room, and he played every single day. So I think whatever you can do to, people talk about having their exercise gear ready by their bed in the morning, or whatever it is that removes any of those barriers that your mind can very, very quickly create, that's the way to go, because that is what will help you get that consistency that's so important.
Yeah, 100%. So Brian, another question?
Yes, a question from Margaret. Do you have any sort of just top tips for losing belly fat?
I would say the number one area is nutrition rather than exercise with regard to belly fat. I think it's about looking particularly at the carbohydrate. I'm not anti-carbs at all, but looking at the type of carbohydrate that you're eating. So if you're eating the carbs, the sort of more refined carbohydrates, things that break down in the body quite quickly, that tends to sit around the middle Obviously, as we age, you've got hormonal changes as well that tend to lay the fat down in that area as well. It's not to say that you can't improve it, but exercise will strengthen. But if you've got the layer of the sort of tummy fat over the top, you won't see what you've created underneath, as it were. So it's got to be a combination of nutrition and exercise, and I would say that nutrition is definitely the key thing with belly fat.
Okay, perfect. Tricia, did you want to say something?
I was just going to say that I know that weight is an issue for a lot of women. I know that lockdown has caused problems for a lot of women around weight, and has Christmas, mince pies, indulging a bit, having more than usual, and then it being very difficult to get off that habit of having a lovely sweet, you know, something delicious like Christmas cake or something like that. So this exercise is these sessions aren't designed to help you to lose weight, but what I would say is an 8-week period is quite an interesting length of time, and you can do quite a lot about cutting down and perhaps going on to a more healthy eating plan during that time. I'm not going to say diet, I'm going to say healthy eating plan. You know what that is: cutting out the sugar, cutting out the excess stuff that you might be eating. And it could be that in 8 weeks' time, you know, we might all be vaccinated and released into the wild again, a bit like animals that have been caged up in a zoo. And wouldn't it be brilliant if in that period you've been following these exercises for 8 weeks and you've also been eating more healthily, and suddenly you feel almost like a different person? And you know, it's something to think about. I'm not going to say anything more than that, because it's entirely up to you, and I don't like banging that particular drum about everybody has to lose weight. They certainly don't, but if you want to and you would be excited about that, then maybe you could think about it. And also come in, do watch Leonie's videos, because she is full of ideas about delicious low sugar, low gluten, you know, really good for you meals. Back to you, Bryony.
Perfect. There's a couple more. Margaret wants to know, how often should we be exercising?
I think that depends on the different areas of fitness that you're talking about. So if you look at cardiovascular fitness, for example, that's the recommendation that you hear most often, of the 150 minutes a week. And just on that note, in case you're, you know, you want to put that into practice, the 150 minutes doesn't have to, it can be in any kind of combination. So you could take 30 minutes a day and do 10 minutes separately, you know, 3 times to build up to the 30 minutes. But the recommendation for good health is 150 minutes of cardiovascular exercise a week. Now, if you want to improve your fitness, that's a different matter. That's about challenging yourself and pushing yourself. But I still don't think you need to do loads and loads of cardio every single day. It's just about probably taking what you do and push a little bit harder to challenge the heart and lungs. With regard to strength, I would say a couple of sessions of strength work a week is good enough to see some difference. And with regard to things like flexibility, balance, those kind of things, they can be done every day if you wanted to do them. But what I would say, it links into what I mentioned earlier, is if you're trying to make change, make it in small chunks, because you're much more likely to have success that way. So don't think, right, I've got to, you know, stretch every day and I've got to do this 3 times a week, etc. No, just decide what is right for you and how much is right for you. And if that is once a week because you don't do anything at the moment, then that's good enough to start off with. You can always build on it. It's far better to do it and to be able to sustain it than it is to not do it at all or to drop off.
Yeah. And then the final question she asked by quite a few people is, can you help us enjoy exercise?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I think it's about finding the thing that is right for you, number one. I think it's about finding the environment that's right for you. So that could mean exercising with somebody else. I know it's difficult at the moment, but maybe you could do something on Zoom with a friend, for example. maybe when we're all released, there'll be certain groups that you'll go to and you'll feel comfortable in and feel, yeah, this is my tribe. And there's other groups where you walk in, straight away. That's not a reflection on you. It's just that you're not right for them and they're not right for you. That's fine. I think that's good. You see that in business. If there's people that come to me and don't stay, I don't see that as a bad thing. I see that as a good thing, because I think it wasn't the right fit for both of us. So I think the most important thing is finding an activity that you think you will enjoy, in an environment that you will enjoy doing it in, and with people that you enjoy with. And there's another important point with regard to people, and that is accountability. It's much easier to stick at things if you're accountable to somebody. So Tricia's accountable to me because I rock up twice a week. I don't at the moment, but she has to face me on Zoom twice a week. But it doesn't have to be somebody like me. It could be a friend. It could be anybody. Just find someone that's going to hold you accountable in the nicest possible way, and ideally do it with you, and that can really help.
That's amazing. Thank you so much.
I'd like to come in there in terms of enjoyment. I think the key thing is to keep the reason that you're doing it very clear in your mind. Why am I doing this? I sometimes am working with Lindsay and I can't wait for it to finish. I will literally be, looking at my sofa, which is, alongside the area where I exercise, longingly. I just want to crawl onto my sofa, turn the television on, watch something mindless like Richard's House of Games, and have a cup of tea. I just can't wait. I don't tell Lindsay that because I think it would be quite demotivating.
You do sometimes.
I think she gets the message sometimes. I really don't want to be doing this, and so I honestly absolutely hate it with a passion. But I'm getting better. I do enjoy it more than I used to. But I would say that one thing that hasn't wavered for me during this entire time has been the motivation for me doing it. I am not interested in living a long life which isn't worth living. And you know what I mean by that. I don't have to say any more than that. And I feel that what I'm doing now with exercise will give me potentially the possibility of a longer life which will be worth living. It may not, who knows, but I hope that it does, and that's why I'm doing it. And that motivation is enough to get me through every single bit of exercise that I do, including those half an hour that I spend on my little exercise bike. I just feel like it's worthwhile. So I do hope you feel it too. What I am going to say before we wrap up is that underneath each video, there is an opportunity for you to leave comments. You know that on YouTube. Just put those comments underneath, and we can pick up on those, and then perhaps refer back to those in the following sessions that we do. So there is an interactive element to it, and you can do that on Super Troopers as well if you're a member of Super Troopers. So keep us in the loop in terms of what you're getting, what you want, how you're finding it, and also that some of the benefits that you're finding from it. That's really, really important. So I think we're there, Lindsay. Thank you very much indeed. And we've had a great audience for this. We've had up to about 130 odd people most of the time. And I think that there will be, I hope, a lot of response and enthusiasm for this, and that it will really make a difference to you. So I shall look forward to seeing you next week when I'm working with Lindsay and we're actually showing you the practical physical exercises. I'm just going to finish by reminding those of you who want to join us that tomorrow we have another live Zoom session at 4 o'clock. So if it's a gloomy old day, come and join us again. It's a film club session. And interestingly, it's a film called RBG. It's about Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who's a brilliant legal mind in America. She's a Supreme Court judge. It's a fantastic film. I can't tell you enough what an amazing woman she is. It was brilliant to watch. And what's interesting is that she's this tiny little 80+ person who actually died this year at the age of 84, I think she was, but she does quite a lot of exercise. You can see her exercising with a personal trainer, and she's doing a plank. Now I know what a plank is because that's what Lindsay gets me to do every now and again, which of course needs a lot of core strength. But you know, she's tiny, wiry, but she's obviously really strong, and I love that as part of the film. And I just thought that's what I want to be like when I'm in my 80s. I want to still be able to do a plank. So that's what we're talking about, really. And that's what I mean by what exercise now means to me. So I hope that's all being put into a reasonable context for you. And thank you, Lindsay. Thanks for joining us today. And look forward to seeing all of, well, I won't see you in this sense again, maybe in 8 weeks or so, but we'll know that you're out there because you'll be telling us about how you're getting on. And if you need any help, clarification, or, you know, to us to answer your questions, we'll try and do that as much as we possibly can. So goodbye. Look forward to seeing you on Film Club tomorrow if you're going to join us. The film's on Cusden Home Cinema. It's only £3.99. So just watch it in the morning and come and join us. And thank you, Bryony, for your side of the operation. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.